Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equities Story. I'm with Mr. Wolf, and Wolfie, this is just general share advice and not personal advice. Wolfie, let's just get straight into the nitty gritty, and let's go
Mhm.
straight into the charts and just find out what's happening at the moment. So you can see the XJO is still, it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. The Dow futures are down, so guys, don't get too excited about that bumper on Friday night. I think maybe that's all it is at the moment. There are some good signs, Wolf, that maybe some peace talks, which could be good, right? So let's cling on to that, definitely. And the Ukrainians are fighting hard, and if the reports are to be believed, they're certainly not making it easy for Putin to take hold of Ukraine. Um, Plus the fact, I think there's talk now of this this other soldiers. They're forming up. The Ukrainians are forming a new brigade, which is going to be from foreigners who are willing to go over and fight on their behalf. So that's interesting too, Wolf. Apparently, it's people on different parts of Europe. I'm sure Poles and UK fighting for freedom. Um, so maybe it's an excuse just to have a few of the SAS there. Really, I don't know what it is, but we will we will see. But
Maybe some of the old, people that have got a grudge against Russia.
now
Let's go in. Don't want to
now
say that, but let's hope it ends quickly and less bloodshed, the better.
so and you and obviously you had a surreal weekend. You're watching the wars and roofs collapsing, and your roof collapsed as you were watching that. So um, not quite a bomb, Wolf, but a rain bomb collapsed
Yeah,
your
yeah.
roof.
Dave, we had a massive amount of rain here in Queensland, so quickly we've had floods here pretty much, and unfortunately, yeah, I have been affected. So
Well, that's
part of it collapsed, so I need to fix it, Dave.
well, that's the issue because up in Queensland, a lot of you still live in like little mud huts, don't you?
And this is
Uh,
what I've got here. I've got a little mud hut that collapsed.
and it's unlike New South Wales where it's bricks and roof tiles, Wolf. But I think Queensland is getting more advanced, isn't it? And more up to you know. Uh,
They are. But you know what? Out of these floods, we're just talking about before, who's going to benefit out of that? Who's going to be the loser? Suncorp already come up with flagging that there's going to be some, claims. But on the other hand, JLG,
yeah, I
more
know.
work. Hello.
Yeah, and up 6% today, Wolf.
Yeah, it's honestly, I know it's still a very expensive, but this world is not going to change anytime soon with these events that are getting more frequent. The weather events are getting more frequent, where they have to come in and keep working and keep restoring and keep rebuilding, right? So yeah, it's still a very current theme, and it might be for the next decade, 20 years, 30 years, God knows. But it is a great story, isn't it?
All right, Wolf. Now we often say we had a good weekend. We had the CTM
Yep.
Cincinnati course.
Mm-hmm.
A few more people on the course, which is great, and the more Cincinnati traders, and more people understanding that we are not completely mad. There is a bit of logic behind
More
it.
brainwashing was done. Absolutely, that was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, very good. Now, we're going to go to the money stocks, Wolf, because the money
Yep.
stocks are still in the war stocks, and I'm going to look
Mm-hmm.
at these war stocks because they're doing well. And unfortunately, it's horrible to say this, but our job is to make money for people, and this looks like the place where at the moment most likely to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to go back to the normal ones, and I want to have a look at the charts a little bit quickly, Wolf. We've got S32, again, sort of marching on, and looks like it's on the way to that $5. BHP that paid the dividend, it's again up.
Just stop this S32 for 1 second.
Yeah,
I did see a commentary coming out of one of the brokers. They've actually almost doubled their assumptions for some of the commodity prices. So presumably, you'd expect to S30 to have another really good year, and possibly if the brokers start upgrading their forecasts and so on, you can see some price targets $6 plus on some of these. So it's still very bullish, So definitely a hold. Whether we're getting is another question.
um, you got obviously BHP again holding up. It did pay that big dividend last week, but so you got to sort of add that dividend onto that stop loss, and we'll do that for you. But it's still looking very good, up 2%. Obviously,
Yep.
Rio holding up very well.
Mhm.
And now we get to some of the sort of obviously STO
Mhm.
having a good move up. We've got ORG looking quite nice actually. It had a move up and just starting to swing a little bit and held that. See how it held that swing high, the high here,
Yeah.
and it came down. it's all good, right? So it should go higher. Woodside still on the way to that 30. Come on, Woodside, get going. AWC, likewise. I think last week, it really got hammered last week, but the story is certainly nothing wrong with the story, and
Nope.
if you're in that, you'd be holding it. And again, some of the coal stocks will doing well. NAC, uh, wheat stories, obviously GNC looking very good, and actually if it ends like that by the end of the week, not far from a little buy signal. We've got Elders, uh, needs to do a little bit more really, but it's still I think in the right spot. IPL, so ammonia nitrate, one of the biggest exports out of Russia. Wolf, IPL possibly could be a beneficiary of this, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we did talk about West Farmers as well to a smaller degree that also produce ammonium nitrate or sell it around the world. That could help them,
Mhm.
and maybe palladium Zimplats, a nice looking chart, and if you're in that, you definitely be holding it. I mean, get these stocks on your watch list because these are the stocks that most of them are quite sort of large caps, and they unfortunately could benefit and keep on doing reasonably well in this horrible climate we're in at the moment, Wolf.
Yeah, just on the AWC, that went ex-div on the 25th. That's why it's probably a big red candle last week, Dave. So
Okay,
not
yeah.
sorry there about
Thank you
that.
for that. Thanks for that, Wolf. And then a little higher risk play, a little
Mhm.
palladium producer FME, which we talked about in the past, which is actually again sort of if it gets over 25, that would be the signal for me, Wolf. Over 25 by the end of the week. Hello, maybe we're on for something.
Yeah.
Now, Wolf. So for people looking to trade, I think these stocks are certainly interesting. I'll get them on the watch list. We had a number of stories that came out with announcements. I'm going to go through them fairly quickly, Wolf, because um, maybe we might have one here that looks interesting as a buy. And I think we'll start with that one straight away, which was ALK. Now, I like the chart, Wolf. It is gold, and gold's
Mhm.
actually starting to edge up again. You did some numbers on the back of an envelope.
Yep, I did.
Where are we on this story, Wolf?
So, just rough sort of ballpark figure, what I worked out on the information they provided us. So last week they came out with potential high grade core of that boda that they were looking at. I think they gave 900-meter depth, 400-meter, I think, width, and 500-meter strike. So I've put those figures in and roughly equate. And I made an assumption, right? Because I looked at obviously the results and I looked at what they're talking about, and some of the results were at 0.5, 0.55 grams. I actually used 0.4. I've been pretty conservative in my numbers. So I used 0.4 as a gold average grade, and I've come out with about 6 million ounces. that's pretty big. That's pretty big. Just on the numbers of gold of what potentially Boda could carry, right? So that will be attractive to something like a Newcrest or some other big boys for sure. And I haven't even done the numbers on copper yet because copper is also part of that system.
How does that compare to the Newcrest mine, which is nearby?
Look, I think probably size-wise, I don't know. I mean, size-wise, it's too early to tell, right? Because I think Newcrest one was obviously bigger and was just replenish the actual resources over time with more drilling and so on. So it's too early to say, but grade-wise, I think it's fairly comparable. Yeah, look, it is a very interesting similar type system that what they've got at Newcrest. So that's where I'm thinking that surely Newcrest would be interested in this. Surely.
Okay. Wolf, when you look at ALK, it's trading on a market cap of sort of 500. How do you value this? So it's trading on a market cap of 577 million.
Mm-hmm.
To sort of get a capex to get a project of this size up and running, what would you be looking for? Like $1 billion?
Oh, that's a very, very good question. The bigger the project, the more money you need to spend on it. Look, normally, if I remember back in my days when I used to do this, right? If you had like $100,000, 100,000 ounce project, you're probably looking between the 100 and 200 million to spend. So if this is a big project, you're probably looking at, I'd say at least, this could be, $500 million type capex to go with this. I'm speculating and having a little stab at this, right? So don't quote me on this, but I'm thinking the bigger, the more money they need to spend. So they would need some someone to help them out, I'd say.
Okay.
I don't think they can do. I don't think they can do this on their own. I think unless they obviously prove up that this is a magnificent big system, and the market gets excited, it goes up to $2-3, and then people come in and just give them the money.
Okay, so say for example, it costs them 700 million, and that would put them on an MK, and they most probably need to raise more time and.
Oh, absolutely.
So, say if it's going to cost them $1 billion to get this up and running, right? With all the loans and
Dave, if what I think this is correct. So if this is a 6 million plus ounce project that you can comfortably get out 200,000-300,000 ounces a year, right? Mm-hmm. So on a 300,000 ounce a year, you'd probably be worth about $1 billion. So you can market cap should double from here if this project is legit, right? It's still early days, like I said, but you can see the potential, right? So that's how I see it. And if you see some of the other projects around, some of the other up and coming gold players, some of the market caps are about $1 billion, and they've got a 200,000-300,000 type ounce production profile.
Right. So, okay, it's still a little bit tight though, isn't it? If the market cap is now around that sort of 577, they've got to raise a lot of money on top of that.
Yeah, but just give it time. I think the best thing to do is just play the charts, because you never know. Somebody can come in and say, we love the project, and they can see bigger numbers. They can see 10 million ounces. They can see 15 million. God knows, right? Plus the copper, this could easily be sort of 1 billion, could be 2 billion market cap. So that's why I think both looks interesting for sure, but a lot of things have to, be proven up before that happens. But early envelope type stuff, it looks like a big thing.
Well, you know what? Gold's doing well at the moment, Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And
play the charts on this one, I think.
Yeah, listen, and if it sort of closes today above that, say that 0.75, there's a good chance this could go on with it and retest that 110. So I'm not going to put a trade on today, but gold's looking good. This story's looking good, and I think if I did put one on today, it most probably would be this one, right? So it doesn't look too bad at all. Wolf, I just want to talk about trades. I suppose another stock which you could say is a war stock, which really we put on, was CRN. And so we like the story that, again, with metallurgical coal prices going absolutely through the roof, these guys are making an absolute fortune at the moment. Again, unfortunately, and I'll write it in the gold stock so I don't miss it next time. There, the coal, Ukraine do produce. And Russia, a fair amount of coal. And
well, let me just read you a little excerpt from Stockhead today. There's an article, right, from, I think, who's commenting on this? Woodmac, right, which is a big consultancy agency, global consultancy agency, and they know their stuff. So they say here, coal, with Russian coal accounting for around 30% of the European metallurgical coal imports and more than 60% of European thermal coal imports, having to replace Russian coal volumes would send up price shock to global coal markets, right? So basically, coal-fired power currently accounts for 14% of Europe's generation mix.
Right. Well, that's exactly why we put it on as the hot stock on the weekend.
Yep.
Wolf, SNL, they put out an announcement. What do you make of that?
Yeah, very, very good. I mean, if you look at the numbers, let me just go back and I'll quickly summarize it because that was on Friday. Just give me one moment. I'm going to go back here and put in SNL. And they didn't give a outlook. That's probably why the market maybe is going, come on, what's next? What's next? Because this is bloody good. And I'll tell you what they've come up with. And they've said, you've got revenue up 23%. This is for the half, right? Revenue up 23% to 96 million and profits up 56% to 9.5 million. So you can see they are doing quite well. Presumably, let's say they're going to double for the full year. So they're going to probably have about 200 million maybe in revenues, 20 million in profits. That looks very, very good for another great year following this year. So I'm still a holder. And in fact, if there's any weakness in this, I'll probably be looking at it because they also have, kept the actual dividend steady, which is nice. It's not a big dividend player, but it's nice to have a little bit bonus on top of the cherry on top of the actual cake.
So if you're in it, it's a hold at 10, and And if it goes back to maybe down to 9, maybe a nibble around there, Wolf.
If he goes back to trend lines, that's when I nibble. Yes.
Right, SXE is a dividend play, a good announcement. Obviously, we're going to do these on monthly charts, so it's still a hold. We're pretty pleased with that performance.
Yep.
As we were, MOT was fine as well, and just holding trends. So those dividend plays playing
Dave,
out.
just one thing I want to mention. This is why it's such a nice thing to have those dividend plays. The expectations are much lower than if you're, if you're tech stock, then you have to deliver this 100% growth every single period. It's much more, for forgiving. As long as the dividends are fairly intact, the markets are like going, okay, you're still cheap anyway. It doesn't really matter if you miss, if your earnings go a little bit lower or not. We understand. They don't understand when the tech comes up with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely was. It's much more high risk, high reward.
Mm.
PRU, buying a gold company in the Sudan.
Yeah, North Sudan apparently, which is bordering, I think, Egypt. It's got a 3 million ounce deposit over there. This is a Canadian company they're buying. High risk. That's all I can say.
Risky. So again, might just struggle to get through that 180. Some of the money lenders, Wolf Weiser.
Yep.
What did you make of that?
Look, top line growth, fantastic. Bottom line losses, still troublesome. They need to do something about it. I think the market needs to see that there can be cash flow. There was a silver lining in there, I have to say, because they did say that for the quarter of 2022 was a cash flow positive one. So okay, let's see if we can deliver. If they can deliver another one or two of those, maybe the market will start to wake up on that.
Yeah, and the price action was good. I mean, Harmony again, similar space. I think they did actually come up with a profit, which was which maybe that's why they're up 5% with the market cheering it. But the price action still looks weak, and I wouldn't be going there as yet.
But doesn't it give you a bit of going, well, if these guys are profitable and the others are guys, so will it make a difference if Weiser becomes profitable? Maybe not.
But it seems to be, well, very similar to the buy now, pay later stories, doesn't it? Where they just seem to need a lot of money to grow this revenue, and the bottom line's been kicked down the road, and the market is just not cheering that at the moment. So
and also the interest rates is not going to be a friend to them. So that's the big, I think, issue. Losses are one thing for sure, right? But then, of course, we've got a rising interest rate environment, which is probably going to be a detrimental thing for these business models.
So let's again talk about Z1P. There's a little bit of noise there. I think Cez will come out and they're talking about the acquisition between Z1P and Sizzle.
Yep.
So I think there needs to be a lot more maybe in this sector, and hopefully one of the bigger American boys will be looking at Z1P as well.
Yeah, well, the marriage. Let me tell you the numbers because I just had a quick look before we went with the video. It is they giving, I think, 0.9 something shares per Sizzle share, which values. This is at 221, so their values Sizzle at about $1.76, I think. So overall, that obviously a marriage they have to do. They have to get bigger. They have to fight those Klarnas and Afterpays. So it makes sense, of course. Let's see what happens. Let's hope the market takes it a little bit more positively than what's been happening recently.
Well, if I'm going to go through the rest fairly quickly, I mean, they're not buys yet, but AKE holding in there and actually profitable. So it should be. I mean, really, lithium prices where they are.
Yep.
Be a bit of a worry if they weren't. MAD, you're pretty happy.
Yep, that was pretty
report. Good. Just IPG, it's a new one. It's a little bit too soon for us, but
it is.
But you quite like the report and it's on your watch list, right?
Yeah, it is.
Dropsuite, you're very, very pleased with that. I mean, it's trading like like a lot of stocks in the market, not very, very
trading
well.
like a tech stock, Dave.
Yeah, trading like a tech stock, precisely. But yeah, listen, it just needs to get back over trend. But again, a good announcement, and for you, best in space, right?
Definitely best. If you look at the numbers, strong growth, top line growth, and then now become cash flow positive. So of break even pretty much. So hopefully with next half or next full year, they can stay on that positive side. Because I think when we talked about, remember, he said he's got to have to balance. He wants growth, but he doesn't want to go into the negative type stuff. So I don't think they'll be big profits anytime soon, but at least if they can keep that just over the edge of being positive cash flows, then we don't have to go back to the market too often.
And lastly but not least, Wolf, HLA health stock that's actually trending reasonably well. It's not a buy, but you quite like that announcement.
Yeah, look, again, top line growth was good. This is a little physiotherapy play. So aggregating all these physiotherapists around Australia. So another angle to the healthcare industry. We've had the radiologists, we've had the pathologists, now we've got the physiotherapists.
All right, listen, Wolf. On that note, we're going to leave it there because there's some obviously interesting stories out today. I mean, but where the money is, and this is where I think you're going to make money at the moment, is in these war stocks and possibly ALK, which is in some ways, look, it's moving up as I talk. It is a war stock in a way. It's gold, right? So it's a hedging, and you've seen gold have a good move up this morning, Wolf. So, guys, hopefully, if we're going to direct you, we'll direct you in the right areas. Meanwhile, good luck and trade carefully. And Wolf, go and get your roof fixed quickly.
Okay, I have to. I don't want any more rain and flooded. Thank you.
See you, Wolfie. Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya, guys. Bye.
Bye.